minus 50 seconds. T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad. This is our last show for the week. It's been an interesting week. This is our first week of WWT live, and we have a lot of, I feel like this week, the stories have just been in abundance. I've done news shows before, and it's kind of dry. This week, it's no, we know what you're doing, and so we're going to provide you stories. That's the universe to WWT, if you believe in such things. But I am not alone. WWT host, and she does. The list goes on. I don't even know where to start. She does everything. If you haven't seen her face, then you've been under a rock. Ella J, what's going on? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, TK. How are you?
I am good. I am good. We are both talking about how, it's an interesting world that this podcasting life. But here we are. It's our Friday.
It really is, and today's Thursday, girl.
Well, it's our Friday, meaning this is the last. I stole it from the Daily Show concept, where on the Daily Show they don't do Fridays, and I feel like it's good. This, we only did 3 days this week, so next week will be 4. So we'll see. But Nikki Boozy, Ella J in the
what's up, Nikki?
in the building. But what do you have with the for us, Ella?
Yeah, so like you said, I do a plethora of shows, and one of those has to do with the National Wrestling Alliance that I do every Tuesday night on Love Wrestling. We do a recap show, and next week Camille is going to be getting a new #1 contender between Allison Kay and Kylan King. I think that is going to be absolutely awesome. Allison Kay is obviously a former NWA Women's World Champion. She lost it. It's crazy now. It's been 2.5 years. It feels like it was just yesterday. But she lost it in early 2020 to Thunder Rosa. And obviously she was just NWA Women's Tag Team Champion with Marty Bell. But they lost the Tag Team Championships. And now she's going to be vying against former #1 contender Kylan King next week on Power, and the winner then will go on sometime to face Camille for the NWA Women's World Championship. And Camille is only a few days away from being champ for 400 days, which is absolutely insane. But Camille has really, really steadily improved. And honestly, the NWA Women's Division is not one to sleep on.
I agree. Yeah, Camille, I would love to get her on the show. That's one thing. But do you know, what's her back? Do you know her story, her background, how many years? It's one of those things that she's been around for a while, but you don't necessarily know her story if you don't follow NWA.
Yeah, so I know she trained at 3D Academy, ironically alongside Kylan King, obviously with like Bubba Ray, Devon Dudley, and all of them. I honestly don't know much of her work before NWA. I know she was on the independent scene. Then she kind of got thrust into Strictly Business, which is her real life husband, Tom Latimer. Nick Aldis, obviously, he's been the national treasure, and Chris Adonis for the longest time. So for a while, she was kind of not in the main picture. She was just kind of with Strictly Business, and then she's really been dominant over the last like year plus since holding the championship, and honestly has been really impressing a lot of people, including myself, who maybe before, honestly, NWA 73 against Layla Hirsch last year, we got to see it live. That
Yep.
match with Layla Hirsch really flipped the switch for me, and it had me tuning into Camille ever since then, and she's slowly gained confidence and poise and gained the respect of the crowd, and rightfully so, because she's had some bangers during this run. And I think, again, like I said, she's not one to sleep on. She has improved so much now. I can't believe it's going to be a year next month. But yeah,
That's so crazy. That
it's
is so crazy.
crazy. Yeah, she's definitely one that I think has, I don't know much of her background outside of NWA, obviously besides her training, but I mean, like you said, I would love to know more too as well.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see what's yeah, I can't believe that's like a year and her poise. Yeah, I think we just need to know like the story in order
Hmm.
to get her to get a full kind of who she is. But what I saw oh, no, it's today. It's today, not a rerun. Um, like I said, Ella, just so many things. I probably forgot to do that. Um, but yeah, it's today is a brand new show. But yeah, I'm interested to see what's going to go on with her. But up next, I kind of want to say she's your BFF. I don't know. Have you decided between her and Mickey? Like, I,
Um,
I
well, this is always backwards, so forgive me. She's right here on my wall. I know where
okay.
this is going. Yeah, so, man, there is so many people online in, like, even with Jordan Grace, two people commenting about professional wrestlers' body and just beauty standards in general. If you were not on Instagram today, Deanna Prazo was doing like a Q&A, you know, you can put the thing up, ask her a question. There was some pretty nice questions, like what's your favorite gear? And then somebody had the audacity to comment on her Instagram anonymously. Actually, no, it's not
Of
anonymous.
course.
You would be able to see who it was. But basically, like, criticizing her body and basically saying that she's too big. And it's like, what even, like, they were comparing her to Jordan Grace, first of all, and then second, to say that, and then she was getting ready to go swimming, and so she basically was like, um if this is too big per our beauty standards, like, you can, you know, she flipped the bird. I don't want to get us canceled, but yeah, there she goes. Basically, girl, yeah, like, you shouldn't be comparing wrestlers' body. Like, we're already in this male dominated industry, and women already ourselves criticize ourselves and our bodies daily, especially as a professional wrestler. Though, I mean, there's got to be so much pressure to upkeep your body, and especially there's been unhealthy habits throughout history to maintain that physique, and you shouldn't be comparing somebody. First of all, you shouldn't be comparing somebody's body to another person, and second of all, like, to say that somebody's too big per our beauty standards, and she basically said, if this is too big per our beauty standards, you can, like, yeah, she flipped the bird. I agree with her. I was mad too. It is effing ridiculous, as she said, and it got me really mad. And honestly, like, she's just a beautiful person, and like, she's beautiful inside and out, and like, I'm saying that, like, not biasly, like, she's an amazing person too. And it just, she has had so much confidence in herself, like, obviously outwardly but inwardly as well, and it, like, oh, it got me mad, TK.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I remember I was at an Impact show in Vegas, and it's always I personally think it's always the people, and I'm not going to say what this gentleman said. I believe he was either I think he was behind me, and he said the most disgusting thing about her. But when I look back, like, you know, just slightly, like, he wasn't like no, you know, Tyson Bedford, or, you know, he
Mm-hmm.
was nowhere close to any of that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, for you to say that, maybe in your city, in the small city, you might be a 10, but I highly doubt it. So for you to say that is just absolutely crazy. And if you take away even the looks, the fact that, these athletes can do these such amazing things, and, you have time to do this, is like, that should just say, like, if you say something negative online, that to me just shows that you're not doing much with your life. Like, I don't have time. Like, there are times where I see things, not even wrestling wise, just life wise. It's like, that's strange. And then I go back to, the hustle. I don't have time to make to
go
do
out of
all
your
that
way, type this thing out. Yeah, no, obviously we're all judgmental in nature, but that specifically though, to go out of your way to comment something that one is untrue and two is effing ridiculous, like she said, is just stupid. Like,
Right.
I more power to her for telling them off. She's flipping phenomenal, and I mean, man, I don't know how they deal with it. I mean, we're in the public eye, but these wrestlers have a way bigger following. I mean, just in general too. Like, they're like under a microscope, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And we've been talking about this all week. We had Shotzi, and then oh my gosh, yesterday seems like forever ago. There was somebody else that there was like issues as far as online, and it's just crazy. It doesn't.
Mhm.
Oh, Rhea
Jor-
Ripley.
oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so it's just kind of one of those things that, and we just actually talked to Jordan Grace today, and it was just one of those things where she constantly, they rip her online. And I saw an interview in preparing for this interview where she pretty much just said once she stopped caring, the way she wants her body is the way she wants her body.
Mhm.
And it's I wish we could just do a study on everybody who says a negative comment and find out, what their
Mhm.
life is about, because I truly don't have time. Like, I literally pop in, and again, you guys know I love to give you behind the scenes things. I literally popped in and I saw Ella had a comment, and I literally had to ask you what was going on, because I just don't, like, I can't follow everything, and like, to then double down and make a negative comment. I just like, get a life. That's best way to sum it up.
Much love to Deanna Perrazzo.
There it is. So all Deanna or all Mickey, or are we still split?
Listen, this is separate. We
Okay. Okay.
I am supporting both my girls, although they are kind of in the midst of square right now feud
When are they
with
not in
Chelsea
the
and Mia.
midst of what? Like, when are they not in a feud?
Listen, I love them. Today is about Deanna Perrazzo though.
Okay,
So
so you just kind of go, oh, okay, got you. No shade. It is what it is. But thank you so much, Ella, for joining us. Tell everybody where they can find you, all that good stuff. Like I said, you have a billion projects, so maybe limit it to like 5. Tell people we don't have can't give you the whole show to list everything. Tell people where they can find you and what you have going on.
yeah, to make it easy, you can go to twitter.com/itsLJ. If you go to the link tree in my bio, all the links to my merch and all my projects are there. I will be in Nashville 3 weeks from today for SummerSlam and StarCast. So that's going to be super fun. On behalf of SE Scoops, we'll be doing a lot of interviews, going to all the events, and of course, SummerSlam. So if you're in Nashville, come say hello.
There it is. And like I said, you kick the link tree, you're going to see all 150
It's
tabs.
nice.
So definitely check it out. Just keep scrolling. Don't stop.
Pretty
Just keep
much.
scrolling. Thank you so much, Ella. We will see you next week. Ciao. All right. So we have another story coming in. I think the one, the only, Kane McCoy is in the building. Kane, what's going on, sir?
Well, as you can see, my Twitter handle is at Kane McCoy, CainMcCoy. And contrary to popular belief, Buff Bagwell actually runs my account, TK. Buff Bagwell runs my account. So, I know there's been a lot of talk this week on the IWC side of Twitter, wrestling Twitter. So, about a couple months ago, Buff Bagwell all of a sudden kind of started becoming like, oh, okay, BLM stood for Buff Lives Matter, apparently, because my man's was out here being all types of awakened and woke with his commentary on certain things, including, selling LGBTQ themed shirts and everybody is buff and buff is for everyone stuff and selling merch and having these tweets. Turns out it was me, Austin. It was me all along, says some gentleman named Michael Long, who was the person who was running Buff Bagwell's Twitter, TK.
I actually have a clip from his video, and we can continue after that.
Yes. And Buff addressed the haters, if you will, or addressed the situation today.
Over a lot of great things and having a lot of fun doing it. But the last few weeks, it seems like I've been trending over some things that are not so great.
So you want to talk what he's...
Yeah, those things weren't so great, Buff. We might have missed it over the 4th of July weekend because we were too busy celebrating America, ? Were we celebrating? Or we just enjoyed the day off. But anyway, tweets were coming out from people who were like, hey, we ordered some stuff from your site, Buff. We ordered stuff from you like a month and a half ago, and we still haven't received it. There were several Twitter users noting this. And then people, Twitter is investigating stuff. Like everybody on Twitter should be detectives because they effed around and found out some things about Buff Bagwell, including the fact that Buff was not the one running his account. It was a gentleman who went by @InLongComedy. His name was Javen Michael Miller. And this guy had a questionable reputation because he was he is a registered sex offender. This is the person that they have. It's been confirmed that it is such. Yeah, damn, it's very incorrect. This is the brother that was running this situation, and Buff Bagwell, for some reason, hired a registered sex offender to basically virtual signal tweets that didn't align with Buff Bagwell's actual beliefs, because we could find footage of Buff Bagwell supporting 45. Of course, could people change about their views? Sure. But Buff is tweeting one thing, but you can find footage of him doing another thing. I agree, JD Smith. Anybody with 3 names, big serial killer vibes, right? so like that comes out and is like, oh no. So Buff is doing a lot of PC, a lot of damage control today, saying that, including the video that he and Michael Long have broke off their relationship. Obviously, I'm sure Buff was like, hey, bro, you're too hot in these streets. And Buff will, do the responsible thing, whatever that is, of actually running his Twitter account and running mine too. Just don't check my DMs, Buff. Don't look at my DMs. So,
I can only imagine what
it is one of those things. Like. Yeah, well, yikes. We see that the Iron Sheik, of course, he has guys who help run his account, and there's a lot of people who don't run their Twitter accounts. But I think when something gets involved, as far as, hey, Buff, where's the money? And I think in his apology video, that's one of the things that didn't really get answered. He claims that he didn't really see any of the money. Well, Buff, if you haven't seen the money, then the people don't have their money back, nor their merch. So at this point, where is it? I mean, is it like Buff Bagwell's merchandise on a pole match? Are we going to go back to WCW where every match Buff Bagwell was in involved somebody on a pole, whether it had been his mother, Judy Bagwell on a pole? It's going to be Buff Bagwell's merch on a pole, and everybody from the IWC on Twitter has to fight to climb it and get it back. Who knows? But Buff, this is not the stuff. And I love Buff Bagwell, one of my favorite stars in WCW. Thought he caught a weird deal in WWF doing the invasion angle where they kind of get him out of here. But they really got my man Buff out of here on Twitter. So of course he's trying to save face on his Twitter account. Hey, I got it back. The relationships are good, but it doesn't mean anything until the people either get their merch or get their money back. Because my thing is, Buff, how did you not know who was controlling the money? How did you not know who was controlling the merch? So those things are kind of like fishy. Somebody you're working with and you're just signing over merch to somebody and it's not being fulfilled. And you see that people aren't taking pictures and tagging you in it of the merch they received. So it's going to be a lot more that we hear about that. A lot more unanswered questions here. So
yeah, definitely unanswered questions, but it's I don't want to say a but to it, but one of those things where if you're doing a lot of different things and you have your hands in different projects, it's hard to keep track of everything. I think of, this might not be the most extreme case, but I remember like Toni Braxton when she lost all her money and she essentially, handed it over to the accountant to do things for her, etc. It's hard to keep track of everything in that way, in that type of business, especially if he might not know too much about like analytics and websites and all this other stuff. I mean, I'm assuming he's slightly older. It takes a little bit longer to teach the older generation some stuff. So you rely on somebody who knows how to do it. It's going to be faster. It's going to be easier. So, hopefully he can rectify it. But the video, I watched the whole video. I think it's about 5 or 6 minutes long. It's not too long. And he explains everything. So, he seemed honest and truthful and just gave everybody what it is. So hopefully everybody can get, who ordered stuff, they can get that stuff. But I think whoever has the money, he's not going to see that money back. So he's probably actually losing money because, if he stays true to his word, he has to give these people what they ordered. So
yeah, that's not the flex we're trying to see from you, Buff Bagwell. This is a very bad flex, my good sir. And I know he's been involved with Diamond Dallas Page, who was like the rehabilitator of wrestling stars of the past in the Change or Die documentary. Buff Bagwell, you need to give these people their change, okay? You know what I mean? So we need to make that happen, Buff. Or like, let them suplex you or something for charity. Figure something out, Buff Bagwell. But I know you try to bag well, but this is bag batting, bro. This is bad bagging on your part, taking people's money, man. Buff, come on, Buff.
All right, Base. So let's move on to our next story, which is kind of a feel-good story. He's been talking about this for a long time. We saw him in WrestleMania. What do we have for Pat McAfee?
Yeah. Speaking of getting the bag, though, really getting the bag, my guy Pat McAfee, who has absolutely just gone beyond the expectations of anybody, including himself, including Vince McMahon, most likely. He has signed a multi-year extension with with the WWE. And I got to say, Pat McAfee is the best thing to happen to WWE in 5 to 10 years. You know what I mean? I mean, as far as the excitement and the energy that this man has bought, a lot of times we see these celebrity walkthroughs and it's kind of like, they're either calling it Summerfest, you know what I mean? They're either not knowing the product, they're either, disrespecting the culture of professional wrestling, sports entertainment. And Pat McAfee just was the puzzle and just fit right in from day one. And he's rejuvenized Michael Cole. You can see how different Michael Cole sounds. Michael Cole sounds like he's having the most fun ever. And Cole's been in for 25 years, you know what I mean? And Pat McAfee makes everybody better around him. And it takes a lot of energy to like do that, whatever he's in, you know what I mean? So I'm really excited to see what to go with Pat. And, we could be looking at Pat McAfee at this point and say, this guy's a lifer. He's going to be a lifer at WWE amongst everything else he does. And it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of works everything else out as far as the Pat McAfee empire. I mean, I remember Pat McAfee was my punter. Like this guy was my special teams guy on fantasy football. And it's just like, man, to see the glow up and to see what happens, kids, when you just kind of go for it. So he signed a multi-year extension. So that's pretty dope. And for them to even, highlight it like this, you know what I mean? For WWE to highlight it and, shouts to WWE for knowing what they have in McAfee and keeping him around because he's definitely something special. And obviously, I'm sure this Corbin match is part of it. I really enjoy everything with Corbin because we finally getting a payoff with the whole bum ass Corbin and making fun of him and whatnot. Obviously, Pat's gonna do the job to Corbin at SummerSlam, most likely. Obviously, like ain't no way a commentator is gonna win at WrestleMania and SummerSlam, fam. You know what I mean? I mean, listen, Pat McAfee has defeated Mr. Money in the Bank, Austin Theory. You know what I mean? So is he going to beat the man who retired Kurt Angle and Baron, happy, sad, mad, whatever adjective you want to use, Corbin? I don't think so. You know what I mean? But
I don't know. I disagree with that one.
You think he's going to take out Corbin?
Well,
cleanly, or would Madcap interfere?
Well, that's possibility. Here's the thing with Corbin. Throughout his career that I've been following, since I refer to X-Pac days because that's when I've started really following wrestling for what I'm doing now. And seeing all the reiterations of him, even if he takes this loss, I don't think it's going to affect him in any sort of way. Like Corbin's in that like sweet spot for us, maybe not for him and where he wants his career to be, where like either way, we could just create another version of Corbin and then dislike him even more. Like every version of him, we just don't like him.
Baron Corbin is an amazing heel. I will agree with that. Baron Corbin is an amazing heel. Absolutely.
So,
but I think we need some type of Happy Corbin payoff, though. Like, you can't be sad and then you randomly win money off of TV, by the way. No one, it was digital exclusive. Then he shows up and he had to show and to tell the backstory. We need some kind of payoff. If he has so much money, shouldn't Happy Corbin be able to buy a win? Why isn't he even wrestling? Why can't he just pay somebody to fight Pat McAfee? He's like, you know what? I'm not going to fight you. Who do you think I am? Stone Cold Steve Austin? I'm above that. I'm not going to fight you. I'm Happy Corbin. I'm rich. I have money. I can pay somebody to fight you. I feel like that's the angle they should hit it with. Is it a little $1 million Ted DiBiase? Yes. But like, what does it matter? It makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It makes sense literally to have that happen. So I'm excited to see that. Shouts to Michael Cole, who, by the way, hasn't tweeted since September 10th, 2018. And Michael Cole tweeted today. He tweeted today for the first time in nearly 4 years to congratulate Pat McAfee. Talks about his excitement is contagious and how Pat always stands on the table. And Cole has acknowledged, to Nikki's point, that he has revitalized his love for the business. So we could be looking at some true OGs, man. Cole and McAfee. Who would have ever thought, huh?
Yeah, like I definitely agree. Like he has been brought a lot of excitement just to the desk. The fact that he jumps on the desk, the fact that he plays the air guitar, the fact that he almost it's interesting though, because I feel if any other commentator did that, coming not from a sports world like NFL with that big name, it wouldn't have translated. WWE would have tapped them on their shoulders like, you're doing too much. I think it's the right, storm for him.
Yeah, and McAfee has given us gold, obviously starting with Adam Cole down in NXT and McAfee doing the somersault off the cage, doing war games. McAfee has given us some great WWE moments to Adam Cole being on the Pat McAfee show and dropping F-bombs, I believe, and fighting with McAfee. So he's been indulged in some moments, and ultimately Pat McAfee gets it, which is what we as wrestling fans, that's all we want when people from outside our world comes in. You know what I'm saying? We feel like, oh, does this person really watch it? You know what I mean? Because like we're very territorial and cliquish about people coming in, or somebody's asking, is The Rock still wrestling? No, The Rock has been a full-timer for 20 years now.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Has it been 20 years? Jesus.
It's been about 20 years since Rocky was like, hey, man, go watch the Scorpion King, bro. I'm out of here. You know what I mean? So people still ask that. It's like the Attitude Era is done. We've gone through Ruthless Aggression to now Together and PG Era and whatnot. But Pat McAfee is a student of the game. He is us. So when we watch him, it feels like we're watching us. We're watching one of the homies commentate. You know what I mean? It's not super polished. It's kind of brash. It's kind of like, ooh, can he really say that? But that's what makes it work. Because to bounce off a Cole like that, who is the professional, who can be the WWE guy, and Pat has no real ties to WWE. As he said in the past, he's like, no, literally, fam, I show up, do SmackDown, and I'm out. I'm not at house shows. I don't know what's really going on. I know what happens Fridays, and that's about it. You know what I mean? So hopefully it continues that way. We don't get oversaturated with Pat too much, and because I think he's in the perfect sweet spot, and we can build from that.
Boom.
So shout out to Pat McAfee.
Shout to Pat McAfee. Congratulations. I hope it opens up more doors. Everybody gave money, all that good stuff.
And this could possibly set up Pat McAfee versus Peter Rosenberg. Who knows?
I was actually thinking that name actually popped up. But we are moving on to some amazing things. New host hopping in the building with us, one half of the Mixed Tag Show. Miss Jenna is in the building. What's up?
What's up? Thanks for having me. What's up?
So what do you have for us today?
So it was reported today by Sean Ross Sapp, from PW Insider, that Sasha Banks and Naomi have officially been removed from WWE's internal roster. So that's big news, obviously, because we've been kind of in limbo, wondering what's going on in regards to whether they're released or not, or are they still on the roster. So that's major news for two like prominent women in that division to officially be removed from their roster. So I felt like I had to, as a honorary representative of the Sasha crew, I had to jump on this story.
Nice,
yeah, it's
nice.
crazy. It's crazy. I want to actually show this clip of Naomi, because we did see a sighting of Sasha, I think last week, but I personally haven't seen Naomi cheese so hard in her social media in a very long time. Like, look at, like, she
Living
looks
life.
happy. Yeah, living her best life. Like, she looks happy. This one, like, she looks
Shorty's
very unbothered.
carefree.
I know, right?
Look how
So
carefree she is.
it's absolutely insane. So what do you, not insane, it's just insane, meaning that we have no idea what's going on. Obviously they both haven't spoken. We're just getting, these reports here and there. So, what do you think happened, and what do you think is going to be the next step? Because we did post a poll about that, so we'll discuss that as well.
Well, I think it is a situation of where just two employees, well, they're not even employees, right? They're independent contractors. We're just fed up, right? And especially, again, I love Naomi, but everyone that knows me knows I'm a huge Sasha fan. But following her career closely, right? We all know her history, or like her background when it comes to wrestling, right? I'm a huge fan since she was 10 years old, and her dream was to work for WWE, not any other promotion, but WWE, right? So for someone to give their all to a specific company and that company just kill their dream, it's like you realize your worth and you know that you can do so much more. And I feel that was the situation where she had enough. It's too many instances where you want me to put over someone, but I'm putting on classic matches. I'm putting over this person. I have crossover appeal. I'm probably, if not one of the top, not just women superstars, but in general, man or woman, one of the top performers they have, and it's still not enough. I have to put over Ronda Rousey, who comes back. I have to put, I don't know, the list goes on and on for how many people she has to put on. And Naomi, who's been there even longer, I think since FCW, and has constantly just improved her craft. And it's like, it's so much that is at this point that she's just Jimmy Uso's or Jonathan Fatu, whatever, if you want to use his real name, wife. And she's not utilized the way she should have been utilized years ago, because she's one of the other, one of the most gifted women wrestlers on that roster. So it's just a situation where I feel for both of them, it's just enough is enough.
Yeah, I really think that WWE really dropped the ball. I'm looking for this picture that I made years ago. I don't know if Kane, you saw it, but it's really,
I know what you're doing,
you know what picture I'm talking about? It's really unfortunate that WWE dropped the ball on, what could have happened when they actually had a full, I mean, they still have the Samoan dynasty. I'm going to drop the picture right here. Boom. I just inserted myself in the picture, but whatever.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
That's why I was like, yo, I'll be the advocate. Like I'll do it. Yeah.
You'll be like the Brian Pillman.
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
Brian Pillman of the Heart Foundation.
But it's just kind of like, they really dropped the ball on that. And we did have a poll that we posted up. This is true. We did have a poll we posted up earlier on today, kind of talking about where do we think that Naomi and Sasha is going to go. So we had AEW at 29.2%, Impact at 10.4%, Hollywood 52.1%. I think that's more for Sasha than Naomi. And then a write-in, I think somebody said NWA. So you know, what do you think is going to be next for Sasha, and then what do you think is going to be next for Naomi?
Well, there's been rumblings in regards to Sasha, like really focus, or Mercedes, I guess, because if it's a matter of time until the statement actually comes out, where her focus is Hollywood. This is what a lot of people are saying in regards to everything. But I feel personally, again, just going back to knowing her history or her background, she's such a wrestling mark, right? That I don't think she's going to leave wrestling at the wayside. I don't know if that means eventually come back to WWE, because, you know, everyone always returns to WWE some way, in some fashion, or is it go to AEW? Now, I know I had a conversation with a couple of people on Twitter not too long ago saying how maybe her going to Stardom would be ideal. But then I'm thinking someone with her caliber, I feel that AEW is more of a calling. And listen, I'm not one of those people, as soon as someone gets released from WWE, oh, you got to go to AEW. Like, I'm aware that there's multiple promotions, but I feel like just they have a TV deal, right? It's someone that you'll be able to see on TV every week. And on top of that, a couple of weeks ago, or sometime last month, a picture was circulating on social media that she went and got not LASIK, because she wasn't a candidate for it, because when you're into combat sports, you're not apparently a candidate for that. It was another procedure for, you know, so she can see better, right? So that tells me if someone went and got that type of procedure done, that tells me that they're not done with wrestling. You know what I mean? So that's where I feel like, obviously, if Hollywood is calling, dabble with that, you know, it's an opportunity. But I definitely feel like there's still a lot of wrestling when it comes to her. In regards to Naomi, I feel like she's going to come back to WWE. I feel like it's going to be
everybody feels that way.
Right? Because your family is there, right? Not just your husband, but you know what I mean? Like the Samoan dynasty, as you put it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's all there.
Especially TK.
Including TK, right? So it's just a matter of time. But I just feel like it's like, if I don't know Naomi or Trinity, but I just feel like she's someone has an easier personality to deal with, that she can let, you know, like, things can be soft and smoothed over. So I feel like eventually she's going to go back to WWE. I feel like her family will go to bat for her. And listen, this is a perfect time, especially if you're going to continue with this bloodline story. Turn her heel and put her in the faction. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I get it. I love the glow character, like Feel the Glow. You know how we always turn on people nowadays, it seems like, when they're faces, right? Eventually it runs its course. But she is just a very, very, very good baby face. But it's the writing's right there for you to just put her in the bloodline. You know what I mean? And then now it gives her, you know, this swag that it'll be something different from her. And then another candidate we can see, you know, for example, go against Liv for the SmackDown Women's Championship. If Liv is going to continue, if she's going to hold the title, right? Heel versus face, that's like the perfect storyline. You know what? WWE, call me. I just gave you a perfect storyline.
Call her, folks. Like, it's absolutely crazy. What are you going to say, Kane?
Well, I mean, the natural progression, the natural storyline is there. If you want to keep profits and the Street Profits and the bloodline going, then you can kind of link Bianca with the Street Profits, and you can link Naomi with the bloodline. So that's kind of what we've kind of been side-eyeing and waiting for. Who knows if we were headed down that way? Remember, the rumors were that Naomi was going to be taking on Bianca for the Raw Women's Championship, which kind of set everything off, because it's like, why is a tag team champion going to lose in a singles match? You know what I mean? Like, for the tag team champions, we need to be in tag team champion feuds. We shouldn't be tag team champions and split up, and Sasha taking on Ronda and Naomi taking on Bianca. And if we're going to get a Naomi-Bianca beef, then it needs to be something bigger than just to pass off at if it's not at one of the 4 major pay-per-views or premium live events, which always gives me chills. Feel like I need to sign up anonymously for a premium live event to watch that. But that it should have been one of those. So I think we will see Naomi return. I think Sasha's done. I think Sasha Banks to WWE. We're not gonna see that for a long time.
For
now,
now,
I think Sasha's gonna do.
Yeah.
For she's gonna kind of venture out, see what's going on. We were talking about this in the pre-show chat that NJPW announced today that they're gonna be working with Stardom. Well, they're gonna have Stardom at NJPW of America events. Now there was some starter events. They had an exhibition night 2 at Wrestle Kingdom back in January, to which everyone kind of side-eyed at like, oh, really? Because imagine Mercedes pulling up at Wrestle Kingdom in January to take on, Carrie Sane, or is it Carrie or Kari? I always mispronounce
Carrie.
Kyrie saying, and she's not a pirate no more or whatever, and or like Io, if like Io doesn't resign, there's rumors that Io hasn't signed and she might be returning back to Japan to wrestle in Stardom. So I think Sasha's gonna just sit it out, let the lawyers do their thing, and she's gonna decide where she wants to show up at. Maybe she can't wrestle in America, and she's like, okay, that's fine with me. See you guys at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm gonna watch some Joshi Pro at 2 a.m. You know what I mean?
Listen,
so I'm kind of like, we're going to see.
She's a huge fan of Japanese wrestling. And again, going back to with the AEW thing, the whole Forbidden Door and the connection between the promotions, I can see all that working itself out. So
I think the thing, and I think I could speak for us all, and a lot of people who, not a lot of people, but people who I, talk to in the wrestling universe, is that we were all very upset when this happened. But now kind of taking a step back, this might be the best thing for both of them. One thing, so we have JD, he said Hollywood is cruel. If Sasha didn't like WWE politics a few years on the set, she'll be full-time wrestling in the ring. I disagree with that, because Hollywood is cruel to, if I start acting tomorrow, Hollywood would be very cruel to me. Sasha's been on Disney, and the Star Wars thing is there's so many stories. Like we don't know what's happening with her and Star Wars. So there's that big money. If she doesn't do anything acting wise, she just stays in the Star Wars universe. There's money there, and let's be honest,
she's a big name in wrestling, right? It's not to cut you off, but she's a big name in wrestling, so she has the right to not like WWE politics and demand better. Because if it was Roman Reigns who didn't like the direction of his character, he can easily say this, that, and the third, and you accommodate him. Same with Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins or Brock Lesnar. Again, it's just the constant thing of, why is it that women wrestlers, specifically Black women wrestlers, have to deal with what they're given to them? She's a top star. It's not even being biased or anything. She's a top star. So
it's just facts. It's facts.
She deserves more.
Unequivocal facts. Yes,
she deserves more, but she's also in a great position that she can just say no. Like that Star Wars money, I said that yesterday. That TV money, let's not even talk about that movie money. That TV and that movie money, that's a different ball game. And if you're not, who's somebody who lost the limit? If you're not spending like crazy and you're good with your money and you're reinvesting it, like you're good. And on top of that, she's making great money, I'm assuming, from WWE. Not necessarily where the men are making, but she's headlined, like she's Sasha Banks. She wasn't in like the middle part. For Naomi, I think she's also in a great place that now that she's gone, I feel like I agree. And I definitely think she'll come back to WWE. But when she does come back, she's kind of in a negotiating period that she doesn't need to come back. If she doesn't want to come back, she doesn't come back. She can figure out something else. Like she's young enough. She and Jimmy were both on a show on AfterBuzz that I did 5 or 6 years ago. He said that he wanted like 5 more kids. So
and she wants kids. So
and she wants kids. So and she also mentioned on that show, of course, 5 years is a long time, that once she has kids, like she's not wrestling anymore. That's what she said back then. I meant to pull up the clip, but life gets crazy. But she's in good position now that she can negotiate new terms and she can negotiate a really good storyline. And I agree with you. She should come back, if she does come back, and wreak havoc on the women's locker room, join the Samoan dynasty, play that role, and then, call it a day. Maybe do something more like Nadi is doing, where she is more training and stuff like that. She can go back and forth and not have that grueling schedule, especially if you're not going to use her based off the talent that she has. It's like we would not see her for months on end, and she's fine. So, there are plenty of times where I think it might have been 2018 where she was gone for, I think, like 6 months. And then she was supposed to show up on the Puerto Rico show, and then that didn't happen. And then she finally showed up like 4 or 5 weeks later. Like, it's insane on how she is being treated. So if she's looking at it, they both look as a family looking at the bank account and it's like, look, you don't need to come back, then call it a day. I think she's in a really great position that she can do something else if she wants to.
Yeah, I would love to see her back there. I feel like, Naomi has a lot of unfinished business. For goodness sake, blink and you've missed it. But she's been in for it has been 10 years that Naomi's been in WWE, at least 10 years plus. We got to remember she came out here, Thunkel doctoring it up with Cameron and with Brodus Clay and Hornswoggle and whoever was kind of doing that Planet Funk thing for a bit. And
she's been in the trenches.
She started in the trenches, man, and she has worked her way to a level that we haven't really seen in a while. That because people kind of come in on that mid level, but she literally started from the bottom, and now she's here. You know what I mean? Well, and everything that she's been given, she's turned a lot of chicken-ish into chicken salad. You know what I'm saying? Even coming off the Sonya Deville angle with like dealing with that, and that just kind of dragged on, and the payoff just kind of got burnt off on the SmackDown, and it's like, damn. But at least it was over, and
she's in a tag team.
That's right. What happened. And then she's just in a tag team with Sasha Banks, and it's like, all right, I kind of remember Team Bad. I get it. Word up. Then okay, we'll roll with it. But whatever she's been given, she's made a lot out of it. And I think she kind of reached a point where it was like, wait a minute, if it's gonna be Naomi Bianca, it needs to be something bigger than just at Money in the Bank, or what was before Money in the Bank? Sorry, Extreme Rules or Hell in a Cell. There we go. Yeah. And it wasn't even going to be a Hell in a Cell match, most likely. You know what I mean? And it was like, dude, bump it. So, like, I don't blame her. I hope, like, eventually, like, time can heal the wounds and she can come back. And maybe this will be a good refresher for her to come back.
Yeah.
We're clamoring for her. It's like, put them together. We know
negotiate the hell, make all that money. Like, I really hope whoever's representing her, like, it's like, nah, y'all gonna pay me, and this is exactly what I want. Else I won't come back. Period.
And just to harken back to Sasha, I think about those quotes that said, when she did the Broken Skull sessions with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that big quote where she was talking about like where she is, because Sasha's kind of been in and out, kind of like taking hiatuses and coming back, and kind of this happening was just like the feather on top of the jingle block. The block ain't knocked it over. It was the one little feather, right? But remember, Sasha had that quote. She was like, hey, before I was a super fan, just thankful to be here. Thankful for my hot dog. Thank you for my pizza. Thank you for my time. Thank you for my TV time. But she said, she continued, there comes a point where you can be thankful, grateful, and blessed. But they have to know there's a chapter after that. And that's why I'm at on the level.
Ooh, I don't know where Jenna...
Sasha been wishing her sister would anyway. You know what I mean? I think Jenna went to go back to watch the quote to actually watch it, just to be sure that I was quoting it correctly. But absolutely.
Hopefully she comes back on to do our goodbyes. But I just wanted to play that just because. So Kay McCoy, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, follow me at Kane McCoy, CAINMCCOY. Of course, I don't handle my Twitter, Buff Bagwell does.
And I'm gonna pull up Jenna's stuff just in case she doesn't pop up. Oh, her laptop froze. I got you. I got you, girl. I got you. So make sure, like I said, she's one half of the mixed tag show. And I'm pulling up the social media right now. This is why I should have it on one sheet, which is, something that I was planning on doing, but obviously we didn't get to. So here we go. So make sure you go and follow Jenna and Miss Jenna Bebe on Twitter, and the Mixed Tag Show also on Twitter as well. And I mean, if you go on our social media, we've tagged her. So if you want to check her out, I mean, amazing show. She has a lot of great hot takes. So go and definitely follow her on all that good stuff. And Mr. K McCoy, where can everybody find you?
Yeah, just check me out again at Kane McCoy. I just checked my Twitter. Buff's in there tweeting some stuff now. So Buff Bagwell's on my Twitter. He's making it happen. So merch coming soon. Merch coming soon. I'll make sure I put my Venmo on there.
So we have before we get out of there, we have Nikki said, until there's an actual statement from Sasha and Naomi, I think it should just not be talked about anymore. It's getting old. I mean, I definitely agree. This one statement, shout out to Fightful and Sean. Like, his stuff is pretty accurate. We've had some rumblings here and there over the last couple of weeks, but this one statement of them being no longer part of the internal roster, and trust me, that's happened to me before, where like was one day you're there and then all of a sudden you're gone. That's that trust me, it's not a good feeling being on the end of it, but also too, that's the company just saying like this is over. And as far as the statement, depending on what their NDA said, and again, also being on the end of that, I had to sign the NDA when I left certain companies, which unfortunately I didn't know now I know. That's why I have a lawyer for everything, but I didn't know all the ins and outs. So they might be, unable to say anything until whenever there's a certain time. Like, for instance, Paige, but Paige didn't talk about, she was in and out, but very like few and far between. And she didn't talk about it until literally the day her contract was over. So we don't know what they're, and if they can say anything. That's another thing. Like, it might be like, we'll pay you X amount of money to leave the company, whatever. But here is the.
It's like a gag order. Yeah, you gotta get the gag order. Yeah, and Nikki, what else are we going to talk about? We can't talk about their matches, so we got to talk about speculation of where they're going to go or not go. Why else will we be? Why else will we be wrestling fans? We didn't. Speculate
and talk about it. This is my dream. And Nia Jax no longer, like, I mean, they had it. It was so close. Anyways, I digress. We have been talking about this way too long. But we said where everybody can find you, Kane. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at WWT Pod. Definitely on Twitch. We have all our live shows on there. TikTok is banging. So if you're on TikTok, what happened to? Do we have some time?
JD said that. JD said that we left off Sammy for the Samoan Dynasty. Sammy is a pledging member to the Bloodline. Remember, he's a pledging member. Sammy trying to be a part of the Bloodline is like Ukraine trying to be a part of NATO. It's kind of like, why pick up the juice when the cow?
Yeah, I'm thinking JD's gonna like dropping some breaking news. I'm like, wait, what happened to Sammy? I was really about to hop on. I was a little slow on that uptake. No. Let's bring it back. I don't know if you saw it again. Let me just pull it up again for you, JD. No, we're not including Sammy on this. You see how this is what we want. This is what we need. And unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna.
We're talking full-blooded Samoan or married into the family, like TK.
Boom. There. Wish. So that is it for today. Like I said, definitely go and check out our social media at WW Talk Pod. Definitely go and check out our website, www.talkpod.com. We have articles dropping. We also tomorrow have our interview with Jordan Grace dropping as well, where I ask her what she's feeling about the Drake album. I know you guys thought I was gonna do wrestling, but no, it's all about Drake. If you don't know that about Jordan, then you have to go and watch our other interview prior to that. So we had a great interview with Jordan Grace that's gonna be dropping tomorrow. So definitely check that out. It's gonna be on everything WWE Talk Pod, our YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff. You can find me at TK Trinidad on everything. We will be back next Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and all the other rest of the time zones. I'll put that in the notes for next week. With more hosts. I know you guys saw a lot of hosts.
I think they just CM punked you, TK. You was dropping a pipe bomb, and they were like, "Nope, too much truth."
Yeah, there it is. We're gonna have more news,
but it was hot fire though.
Wait, can you not hear me?
Just to wrap it up, see you guys on Monday. Nikki, I will be in a new location, so that's gonna be a running bit of the show. I will always broadcast from somewhere new, just for you, Nick. Appreciate you guys. You guys, Monday. This has been WWT Live. Much love. Peace. Be safe.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.